Hello, and thank you for coming. My name is Loathe, and this is chapter 19 of Genesis of our Bible study. I will go ahead and get to it, but as usual, I will be reading every 5 verses or so and summarizing it instead of explaining the whole thing at the end. Alright, let's get to it. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said,
Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways.
And they said,
Nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
And they pressed upon him greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him,
Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said,
I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold now, I have 2 daughters, which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
And they said,
Stand back.
And they said again,
This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them.
And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. Alright, to summarize, 2 angels, likely the same angels that ate with Abraham in the last chapter, came to Sodom, and Lot was at the gate. Lot greeted them and convinced them to go to his place and rest there. They were planning to be out all night, but Lot wasn't going to have that happen. He fed them and gave them unleavened bread, meaning bread that doesn't rise, basically flat bread. Before they went to sleep, though, people came to Lot's house wanting to deal with his visitors. Why? I have no idea, but they didn't like them, it seems. They are basically hinting that they wish to harm his guests. Lot shut the door and spoke to them through the door, telling them to not be so wicked. In verse 8 it says that his daughters have never been with men, and they can do as they wish with them, but not to mess with his guests. I'm sure that was a record scratch noise in everyone's head and not just my own, because that seemed like a bad thing to do. Basically throwing his daughters to the wolves to protect his guests isn't a very good thing to do. Yeah, I don't think it's any good in any stretch of the imagination. I'll address that in a second though, as in verse 9 the men outside said that they will do whatever they want with them. Them being all of them, him, his daughters, and his guests. And then the angels step outside, move Lot out of the way, and yeah, they're going to go deal with them. Now, in verse 8, let's address that elephant in the room, because I certainly don't approve of it. In verse 7, he says, and I said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly, and then says what he says in verse 8. Basically, with old-timey speak, I think he is saying to not be wicked and to leave his guests alone and to get to know his daughters instead, as they haven't been with men. I still think it sounds bad, though, in my mind, especially in the current situation. In the Bible, there isn't really much of anything that I could find covering this, as it just sounds bad and a weak argument in general. However, if you are a Mormon and have a Book of Mormon, it is addressed in the Joseph Smith translation, which actually does give it more context, which is a lot better than reading it from the Bible, and it is certainly much more believable. So I will just read it as is. And they said unto him, Stand back. And they were angry with him. And they said among themselves, This one man came in to sojourn us, and he will needs now make himself to be a judge. Now we will deal worse with him than with them. Wherefore they said unto the man, We will have the men and the daughters also, and we will do with them as seeth us good. Now this was after the wickedness of Sodom. And Lot said, Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, plead with thy brethren, that I may not bring them out unto you, and ye shall not do unto them as seemeth good in your eyes. For God will not justify his servant in this thing. Wherefore let me plead with my brethren, this once only, that unto these men ye do nothing, that they may have peace in my house. For therefore come they under the shadow of my roof. And they were angry with Lot, and came near to break the door. But the angels of God, which were holy men, put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house unto them, and shut the door. So, from what I am able to see there, with that in mind, I can say that he didn't throw his daughters under the bus on this one, with that translation in mind, but without it, I would say, I don't know why God would save Lot, because he would do that to his own kids. I mean, I would say that's a pretty bad thing to do. So, with that translation, I think it would make sense why he would be saved with his family, because I can't imagine why God would justify saving him if he was going to do that to his daughters. Because I don't think that's justified in any capacity. I don't think anyone can convince me otherwise either on that matter. So, that's probably why I have both these books, because I certainly wouldn't want to accept that as a acceptable thing in the eyes of God. And if it was acceptable, I certainly wouldn't want to follow God, that's for sure. So, that said, let us continue reading this chapter. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot,
Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it.
And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said,
Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city.
But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying,
Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city.
And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said,
Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed.
And Lot said unto them,
O not so, my lord. Behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast shewed unto me in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. O let me escape thither. Is it not a little one, and my soul shall live?
And he said unto him,
See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Haste thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou be come thither. Therefore the name of the city will call Zor.
So from here the angel stepped out and smited all the people out there, and made them blind so they couldn't find the door. The angels basically tell Lot to go out of the city and take who he cares about with him. Lot tries to get his son-in-laws to come with, but they just mock him. Or maybe they just think it's a joke. But either case, they don't leave. This part I find confusing though, as apparently his daughters haven't known men, but at the same time he has sons-in-laws and they are married. So, looking into different versions of the Bible translation, such as the New American Standard Bible, which says for verse 15, so looking into different versions of the Bible translation, such as the New American Standard Bible, which says, so Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters, and said, up, get out of this place, for the Lord is destroying the city. But he appeared to his son-in-laws to be joking. So it seems to be that they are married but still virgins because they're in their early stages of marriage, or because they aren't actually married yet. And if they are married, it's because they haven't consummated their marriages. Anyways, after that, the morning came, and the angels made Lot hurry up and take his wife and his 2 daughters. Lot was slow about it, likely hesitating, and the angels took all of their hands and brought them out of the city. They told them to leave and not look back, and don't stay in the valley, and to go to the mountains, as everything is going to be destroyed. Lot asked if they can escape to a small town instead, because something bad may happen in the mountains. The angel said that they basically consider this request, and he can go to the small town named Zor. He had to hurry, however, as angels can't do anything until they arrive in that town. So, not too bad going on here, so let's continue reading. The city was risen upon the earth when Lot entered unto Zor. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham gat up early in the morning to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all of the land of the plain, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zor, and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zor. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger,
Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
And the firstborn went in, and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger,
Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in, and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called him Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bore a son, and called him Ben-ammi. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So, the last bit of the chapter, Lot and his daughters arrive at Zor when the sun rises, and that is when the Lord rained brimstone and fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah. His wife, who wasn't supposed to look back, looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham, aka Abram, not Lot, got up in the morning and stood where he stood in front of the Lord. Remember last chapter, the Lord and his angels visited him before they came to Sodom and Gomorrah. Or I should say, Sodom. Abraham looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and saw that the land was smoke and the country was on fire like a furnace. God was keeping his promise to Abraham in mind and would make sure that Lot was safe as he destroyed the cities and the land. Lot leaves Zor and lives in the mountains with his 2 daughters as he feared to live in Zor. So he decided to live in the cave with his girls. The firstborn daughter decides to get her father drunk and lay with him, and has her younger sister do the same. Their father doesn't realize what happened, and the 2 of the girls end up knocked up by their dad. Oh man. The older daughter's son being named Moab, father of the Moabites, and the younger daughter's son being named Benamai, father of the Ammonites, aka children of Ammon. That is chapter 19 of Genesis, as I find that chapter quite cringe at the end because, well, of all the stuff that was happening in that chapter. Um, Particularly because of the daughters on what they did to their father. There's no explanation or justification for said action, and I have no idea if we ever find out, or rather, I have no idea if Lot ever figures that out or not, but I mean, we'll see maybe as we read further on. However, it's a bad thing no matter. In general, it's a pretty bad thing. However you twist it, in my opinion, they literally got their father drunk and raped him. Second account of this thus far in reading Genesis. And yeah. First there was Moses, now it's Lot. It's rather unfortunate, but I guess these things happen. I feel this means that the only righteous person in the city was Lot himself. Which kind of makes sense, I guess, as he wasn't married before his arrival, only after the fact. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised that everyone in that city was wicked, including his wife and his daughters. Yeah, to say that, I don't know. I'm assuming that because his daughters were willing to do that sort of stuff to him, it kind of says how bad the city was. Might just be speculation on my part, though. Anyways, that is it for this video, so I hope you all have a good one. Sorry for the late post on this one, as I have been really busy this past week. Hope you all are taking care of yourselves no matter how busy you get. Remember, God loves you, I love you, and take care. Until we meet again.